All right, so we're going to carry on and look at the coding behind the event, the first Hello World button. So when I double clicked on Hello World, it created this coding window. This is where we're going to write the statements, the programming statements. And we want to put them in the right location. So when I double clicked on this right here, my cursor insertion point was actually directed to right exactly where it's supposed to be. You remember the Hello World 1, we called that button Hello World 1. The click right here indicates the event. So when I click on this button, it will execute this code right here. And that's how it works. So this particular event handler method will execute when I click on that button. What do I want it to do? Well, if you go back to remember the logic, the programming logic, what I want to do is I want to take this hello world, which was made invisible in a sense when we run it, we want to make it visible. So what I want to do is I want to take that control, and I called it, if you remember, it was called label hello world. And as I'm typing, this Visual Studio has something called IntelliSense, and it sort of helps me locate what I want. So that label, the first one, Hello World, is called Hello World 1. And then if I put a dot, it allows me to take me to the next level of options or the hierarchy of how these statements are constructed. So this programming statement is going to include visible. And right here I've got the property already. And this little wrench here indicates that it's a property, and we'll look at these later. So when I click on visible, that says to the computer, okay, you want to make a change to that visible. Well, currently it was equal to false. So what I want to do is say, let's make that equal to true. And then we finalize all of our statements with a semicolon. And you'll notice that there's no red line. See, if I don't put in a semicolon in here, the computer comes back and says, hey, I think you're missing something. And IntelliSense says, look at this, you're expected a semicolon here. Okay, I forgot that. So it helps us write the code. So if we review this, it says here, let's take the label here called Hello World 1. That's this label right here. And we want to change its property called visible from false to true. So let's run it. So when I start the program, it recompiles it, recreates the executable file, loads it up onto the screen, and here it is here. So that means now when I click this first button, it's going to execute this command right here. So I click on it here, and it says Hello World. And it works basically the same way as the design of the program we want. So when I click on this one, it says Hello World, and when I click on this one, it says Hello World. Perfect. All right, so that's a sample of how to make a programming statement inside of an event like that. All right, so we're going to go in and we're going to change the next one here, Hello World 2. And the reason I have two of them is not to duplicate it, but it's to show maybe a different way of doing it. So in this example here, I've already got, it says Hello World 2 inside here. But what I want to do is when I click on it, I can also program the logic a little bit differently. So this, if you remember, this control right here is called Hello World 2. Hello World 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call it label and then Hello World 2. And this time I'm not making it visible because it's already visible. I just want to display the word Hello World 2 there. And that's by changing its property called text. And I want it to equal, and I'm going to call it Hello World 2. All right. And don't forget your colon. But we also did something else. We made it invisible. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's take the label called Hello World 2 again and make that visible property equal to true and put in a colon. So it's just a slightly different way of really doing the same thing. All right, so when I run this, I compile it and run the program. This one works, and I click on this one, and it works in a very similar way, but using a slightly different method. All right, we'll carry on in the next video of how to code the next button.